Hello, welcome to our channel Contemporary Literary Review India. In today's interview, I am with the authors Anil Maheshwari and Vipul Maheshwari. Anil Maheshwari served for about 5 decades in journalism and superannuated from the Times of India as a special correspondent. He had twice been a short-term fellow in Aligarh Muslim University and has also contributed to the Economic and Political Weekly, The Frontier, etc. He has also covered various district courts and high courts in India. He has written several books. Ramayana Revisited is his 10th one. Vipul Maheshwari is a prominent advocate in the Supreme Court of India. He was the former Additional Advocate General of Haryana and Standing Counsel to various state governments in the Supreme Court of India. He is a philanthropist and social worker. He lives in Delhi. Before I move ahead, please subscribe to our channel. Hello, welcome, Mr. Anil Maheshwari. Welcome to our channel. So would you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Myself, as you just said, that Anil Maheshwari is my name. I've been a working journalist all my life, and I've spent more than 5 decades in journalism. And last 25 years, I was with the Hindustan Times at various places from Jammu Kashmir to Darjeeling. And then I also wrote books. But these 2 books, which I wrote with my nephew, Vipul Maheshwari, an eminent advocate, upcoming advocate in the Supreme Court and other legal forum, these 2 books were of concern for him. And I needed his help in those books. One was the Ramayana Revisited, a legal lens, a true legal lens. And it was good. It was received well in the market, and now then there is another book, The Power of the Ballot, Travel in Trump in the Elections.
Okay.
It is the book which is showing, so in which a lot of legal input was required, and only he or someone from this legal profession could do it. And he was interested, and he is a versatile writer also. So then I took him in the wings, and we jointly did this book, in which there are so many things. Like I tell you one thing, it was in 1975, the emergency was imposed on this country. Why? Because the election petition against Mrs. Gandhi was allowed by the Allahabad High Court, Judgment Lal Sinha. Everyone knows. When emergency was lifted, Janata Party came after Janata Party. The Congress, Mrs. Gandhi rule, came back to the power. At the time, her election was also challenged by someone. As usual, Mr. Maheshwari's father, who was an eminent advocate, who is still eminent advocate, at that time he filed only one line objection, that in Uttar Pradesh, the jurisdiction of the Allahabad High Court is restricted only for some districts. Then Lucknow comes, the Awadh High Court, the Awadh Court comes under the Lucknow bench. So the jurisdiction of the Raebareli was the Lucknow bench, not Allahabad High Court seat. And on the basis of that, that election petition was dismissed. Then Mrs. Gandhi said to other fellows, why not this point raised at the time? If this point would have been raised at the initial time, so the mulk would have been saved from this emergency and all these things. So such legal factors are intertwined with the elections. So his help was very necessary and very important help which he gave to me. It was in the book of the, and it is a sort of the, from 1952 onward, how the elections were organized in such a big country, the issue of giving the universal franchise, the illiteracy, the literacy, the male, female, 20 lakh female vote names were deducted in the first list by the legendary election commissioner who built this election commission machinery. Only on the basis, because in their name, against their name, it was written Falani ki maa, Falani ki bibi. No, what is this nonsense? We want her name, not all these things. 20 lakhs name but cut from the electoral rolls at that time. It is a process, evolution. Then the EVM came, then other things. The election commission started distributing the voter slip. Earlier, the voter slip used to be distributed by the respective political parties, but now, and the electoral roll revision. Earlier, the political parties used to help the election commission machinery to update it, but now all this work has been entrusted to the Election Commission of India. So these issues, all these issues like electoral bond, it's a controversial issue. The government has introduced electoral bond. The detractors of the government say that it amounts to corruption. And then how the elections can be manipulated in a limited way, not in a big way. The rigging can influence the election to some extent. In the similar manner, some sort of malpractices are there. It is such a vast country. But for the last 70 years, the uninterrupted election in such a big country with so many problems, diverse culture, diverse geography, diverse economics, diverse food habit, and the elections are being held. And now the call is for the single election. Earlier, the election used to be simultaneously with the Vidhan Sabha and the Lok Sabha both. But with the dissolution of the assemblies time to time in the parliament, the electoral graph, the electoral system was disturbed to some extent. So now there are some thinking also in the mind of the present political dispensation that we should have a single with the old process of the similar election, simultaneous election. So we have done all these things in this book.
Okay. Yes, please, sir, you.
My name is Vipul Maheshwari. I am a lawyer in Supreme Court. I've been practicing for the last 3 decades in Supreme Court. And I've had various government positions and represented various governments in Supreme Court. And this thought which came to my mind a long time back, and when I had a discussion with my co-author, Mr. Anil Maheshwari, who happens to be my chacha also. So I had a discussion, and then we thought that let us talk it out. What is there, what is, and which I feel is today elections are in India is a festival of democracy, which I feel that every few months we have that sort of a festival every 6 months or a year's time. And but having said that there is a lot of difference between the theoretical law and the practical reality. So which we try and put it down in a book. And secondly, the most important, the judicial challenges, which I felt that it is very important to talk it out, that how at different times the judicial challenges has been there. Apart from that, we have taken all the, since as my co-author has said, that since 1952 till present day, that how the system, how the elections have taken place, and how we have evolved our electoral system. Even though that some of the recent development has heralded that the arrival of a presidential form of system to replace the Westminster model, but the fact remains that there is no alternative to elections. So I feel that this process where we have the largest democracy in the world and probably the largest polling which happens here in India, it is very, very important. And the other aspect which I feel is that somehow I've seen that elections are very close to our population. I mean, everybody would love have some interest or the other, starting from chai wala to the secretary to the government of India. Everybody sort of have this charged this thing on a political scenario, and everybody would like to talk on it.
True.
So that's where the time came, and then we thought that why not to write it, pen it down. And there are a lot of instances with regard to the criminalization of elections. That is money, flow in elections. As you have seen that it flows like a water at times. So we thought that let's talk it out. And then very important aspect is with regard to the assembly elections in COVID times, which we thought, why not pen it down? Because this is something very unique. And we have had these elections in the most toughest time, and the Election Commission has a vivid task and very, very, very vast task to sort of get this implemented, all the elections peacefully. And
Right.
which I salute to the Election Commission to conduct this elections in such a wonderful manner that everything went on very well. So we have talked about this in our book. And then there is a very big issue with regard to the expenditure, and a lot of debates which has taken place with regard to the election expenditure. So we have had a long discussion with regard to the election expenditure also. And then since e-voting is a very important aspect, whereby we have said in our book that why not we start doing a voting through our mobile, when we can do the transaction which are very safe through our mobile. Why can't we do voting through our mobile?
True.
So which will have a far-reaching repercussions in terms of having almost 100% voting, because there are a lot of people, those who are there and at different places. Maybe some people are there in hospitals, maybe some youngsters, they are working, they do not want to come out of their house. So and there are so many people, those who want to vote, or maybe some those who are very elderly, they cannot move. So there are a lot of people, those who want to vote, but for certain reasons they do not. But in today's era, when there is an availability of so much at your doorstep through e-process, so why not have a e-voting? So this is also an important aspect which we have discussed in our book.
Okay.
People were just talking about the e-voting. Now you see the change in the approach. In which year you had moved an application on the Supreme Court?
Yes.
In which year?
That was 2012 or 13.
2013, he had moved an application before the Supreme Court asking for the e-voting. And the Supreme Court summarily dismissed, refused to entertain the application. But now the same application has been admitted by the Supreme Court in 2021.
Okay, great.
In which a lawyer asked for this, and the Supreme Court said that. So it's a process of evolution. At that time, the Supreme Court was not aware or was not in the mood to listen about it. Now they are going to listen about it.
This happens in law because sometimes back, I remember this clearly, because sometimes back, evidence from mobile and video were not considered as proof, but now they are considered as proof.
Yeah, Telengana government state, we have the Election Commission of India, All India Body. Then we have the Election Commission in the state. Every state we have a separate Election Commission to conduct the poll in the civic bodies, the local self-government. So Telengana State Commission has conducted an election on the basis of the e-voting, and it was quite successful, and we have mentioned in the book. So that's why this is short. The Week magazine of the South has described this book as a compilation, as a sort of encyclopedia on Indian elections since 1952 to this time. And as Vipul told you that the sort of debate for the presidential election and sort of debate for the one nation, one election. for the assembly simultaneously. So these are some of the issues which are there. So despite all these things, as it said, okay, it's our democracy is vibrant and democracy has survived on the basis of the election since the electorate, the sovereign, think that they have a right to change the government. And they have shown it so many times. They have shown it in the history of the Indian election that the governments have been changed by the sheer will of the common electorate. So that's why our interest was there that this book should be for the student how the election process was evolved, and it is continually evolving. So about the earlier book, as Vipul suggested, it's a good because it's a topic in which a lot of persons try to deceive us. How can you put the Rama in the courtroom and the case against Rama and the witness against Rama? We have not given any judgment in that. In so many cases, even the court, Supreme Court, High Court reserve the judgment. They don't give the judgment at all. So why should we give the judgment? But our purpose was to put the perspective from both sides. A good lawyer is a person who can argue from both sides. If some party engage a lawyer and the other party also engage the same lawyer, wanted to engage the same lawyer. So that's why that book has become a sort of, and now we would ask the publisher. Now you see, only recently I have seen a book on the KK. It cost 2,000 rupees because it has been published by the Duke University. And I placed the order because in India, among Hindus, nobody named the child after the Kakai and Mantra. And now that writer has written a book on the Kakai, and that has been published by a worldwide important university, Duke University Press. So after all, there are some on mythology, there are a lot of work is being done. And we were not aware at the time when we decided to write this book. Okay, what could be the character, what could be the defense, what could be the IPC, CRPC, Evidence Act, and all these things. And we were also afraid about the sensitivities of the common public in India. On religious issue, every issue can be aggravated like anything. But thanks God that the people took it in light earnest. Even judicial officer, as Vipul just told you, the judicial officer, young students, even last night he was telling me that most of the young interns with him are interested in reading that book. So it means though it is 2-year-old, it was published in the March 21. So now for that we can have a separate date to discuss that book. But at present, this book is the power of the ballot, because since every time there are so many challenges to the democracy in this country from different sectors. Like the latest challenge was from the COVID-19, which was beyond that, as people told you, COVID-19. But Election Commission, despite this COVID-19, held the election in Bihar, Bengal, and Tamil Nadu, and successful elections were held. So now these are some major issues being faced by the government, by the Election Commission also, like this latest, only 2 days ago. The Maharashtra, only the scroll in today published that to defeat the purpose of the anti-defection bill, the BJP party wanted to members resign so that the strength of the house is reduced, and in the reduced house, the BJP can show its majority easily. So these are the things from the anti-defection bill when Rajiv Gandhi introduced the anti-defection bill. Since then, it is going on, and the defection is nothing new. It's quite old. 1948 in UP Assembly, Acharya Narendra Dev, a veteran Congress leader, along with 16 colleagues, resigned from the house. He resigned from the house also. He resigned from the Congress party. Though Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and Pandit Govind Vallabh Pant insisted that he doesn't need to resign from the house, he said no, for the sake of the polity, or for the sake of the ethics in the profession. And from 1948 to 1967, Chaudhry Charan Singh, Congress member, along with 12 other MLAs, resigned from the Congress, and the government of C.V. Gupta was defeated. And Chaudhry Charan Singh didn't resign, and he became the chief minister of the Uttar Pradesh. So between 20 years, though so much change came, so it is quite old. Anti-defection bill, Rajiv Gandhi was well-intentioned man to put this anti-defection bill. Anti-defection is for a democratic electoral process. It's just like, you see, in the Second World War, the veteran pilots are witness to this thing that to light a matchbox, to light a cigarette was enough to fill the black hole in the system. The system was, there was a blackout, but that was filled only when someone lighted a cigarette. So this is this anti-defection is a very dangerous thing for our politics. Taking the way we choose it, the survivor also find the way how to circumvent it. So these are the issues which we have raised in the book, and which we have to, if a lot of people have discussed it, if there's any shortcoming, tell us what is the shortcoming, what could more be right. We had our limitations to put all these subjects only ephemeral side, not an academic book. It's not a thesis or it's an academic book. There are so many issues: EVM, election, political machinery, and bullying, and the criminal power, and the money power. All these issues are there. So we have tried to put all these issues, at least all the issues in them.
Acha, okay. So one thing, just you talk about anti-defection. So do you think that there is also a requirement, like, for example, if in a single party, certain section of politicians or leaders want to defect from that existing party based on ideas, based on philosophy, based on anything, so they also have equal rights to defect or get separated from the existing party. So now the thing is that, yes, so what is the way out? How to separate this? Because you cannot hold people, okay? You cannot hold people's mind, right?
The same argument was given by Mr. Madhu Lime, a veteran socialist leader, when this anti-defection bill was being introduced. He said that you can't suffocate the voice.
Right.
You can't extinguish the voice. If we had, but as I told you, Acharya Narendra Dev, they had the basic difference with the Congress politics. They resigned from the party, but they resigned from the house also. It was required to follow such a moral force, and there is no moral force at present. So now, in the name of the polity, everyone says that we are the only honest person. When the Shiv Sena, the rabid communal parties, had decided to break alliance with the BJP and join the Congress, it became like someone had a bath in the Gangotri and become pure. And when the BJP took the rug from their feet, then everyone is telling that it has been done something wrong with the Uddhav Thackeray. So it is in our character, it is in our blood to do. So, but there should be debate also, as you said. If someone was on the issue of the political issue, on the policies, then it's okay. But you resign also from the house. How many percent?
In that case, the issue is like in earlier times, people had some moral values. Okay, nowadays it is very difficult to expect moral values from every Tom, Dick, and Harry. So yeah, don't you think that this is difficult?
No, see, I'll explain a little bit more what is India has sort of a very robust election machinery which has been built over 7 decades now. And the most important thing is are we willing to adopt the changing scenario? That's number one. Number two, all the time in the past it's been noticed that it is always subject to judicial clearance. It is subject to judicial interpretations. So what is happening is, in spite of having the law in place, all the time a different proposition comes up. Then it has been, the court has to interpret that. So a lot of interpretations has been made by the Honorable Supreme Court, and where it has been rounded out. But my question is that these are the flaws which are being there and will remain to be there, because there will be different permutation combinations which will keep arising.
True.
But what I emphasize today is that, is India willing to adopt change? That's number one. Number two, with regard to technology. If we go and move towards technology, a new ways of expressing yourself, casting your votes, casting your ballot. So this is a new way which one has to, move on, and especially our young generation. I believe we have some more than, I think, 45% the generation with young voters, and which are below 25. So which is a big percentage which we have. So it is, we need to see what our future generation wants. How our future generation look into our Indian polity. How our Indian, next generation wants to see the power of ballot. So that is, I see a broader question which we need to address, which we need to talk. As my co-author has said, that we need to have a debate again on this subject, because this has been formulated in 1986. It has now been more than 35 years, 37 years. I mean, we need to debate again. Maybe that time it suited the law, but today it is not. So we need to debate now, and we need to formulate a new ways, so that these kind of, transferring of, or going from one party to another, or forming, or at any point of time, the government is going, suddenly you find out that, somebody has just pulled it out. I mean, this has to have some structure. So in the present day scenario.
Right. So, yes, absolutely right. But the concept is that if you say that, okay, we should hold debates, so what will be the outcome of that debate? Because that is not mandatory to have in place.
No, of course, when the debates, the purpose of debate is to come out with a solution which is acceptable to all.
And we have to educate our young generation. The student even at the 12th class, at the 10th class.
Why I'm saying, because in some countries, like in France, in other countries, they have a different system. Like if there is any big issue, then they debate on such issue in a different way, and they vote on that issue as well. Okay, then it has meaning.
My point is much different. I'm saying that let the masses educate, and particularly the young generation. Since there is a decline of the internal democracy among all the political parties, irrespective of their shade and colors. Every political party is just like a cadre-based party, BJP and the CPM. They don't hold any election at all. So there is no chance that your family trees are being developed. Like the inbreeding in the political party, like inbreeding in the university, that the son-in-law is appointed as the professor, and then the son is appointed. So it has ruined our education system. The same thing is there. What's the future of a political worker? If someone wants to involve himself or herself in the politics, but the future, unless you have you come from the family background where your parents or someone in your family is holding a position. So let's have this system, this education in our education system. We should teach our young generation about this electoral process. This electoral process is the backbone of the democracy. Democracy cannot survive unless we have a vibrant and changing, as Vipul just told, that a technological innovation. How can you stop them? Use them. E-voting, like EVM. you have all these things. Like even the advanced country US, the polling percentage has not exceeded 50%. In India, in any election from 1952 onward, the vote polled, not more than 50% vote was received by the winning party. Never. It never exceeded.
Not more than 47%.
49 point something percent was got by Rajiv Gandhi when his mother died in the wake of that election. It was the maximum, but just few notch lower to 50%. No party has got any chance anywhere. 30% vote, 35%, 37%.
Right.
Say and close it down. I feel that today the politician thinks about the next elections and the statesman thinks about the next generation. So we need to become, thinking about for the next generation. Thank you.
Right. True. Thanks for sharing your views.